everybody, it's Astrid Mueller again, passionate about helping Girl Power Ventures succeed wherever you are in the world. I've got a super exciting interview partner again for you guys today. It's Laura Mignot from Digital Flash. Hi Laura, so excited to have you.
Hey Astrid, good to see you.
Yay! Let me introduce you guys to Laura real quick. She's super inspiring and really talented in interactive social media. So her company is called Digital Flash, and she's been working with Pfizer, Ford, Snickers. 6 years ago, she started her own digital experience agency, which now is Digital Flash, and she's a problem solver for brands. She helps develop implement interactive marketing strategies. She does viral videos, strategic partnerships, key PR placements, social media storytelling, events, like so many things. It's really amazing. I'm really intrigued by that and what we can learn from you. And I will ask her in a minute to describe in her own words exactly with an example. But we will talk today about how women business owners can create engagement around their brand, even if you're just a solopreneur or small business owner. So Laura will have some three key tips that you can take home and hopefully start doing today. So Laura, do you want to elaborate just a little bit, maybe with some examples so that my viewers can see a little bit what you're doing exactly today?
Sure. So thank you so much for having me, Astrid. It's great to be here. Well, yeah. So our agency, Digital Flash, is an experience agency. We started. My business partner and I met through networking
Mhm.
6 years ago at a women's professional organization here in New York, and we got thrown together to do an event. And we realized we liked working together and said, hey, why don't we try and do some of these events on our own?
Mhm.
6 years later, after a lot of hustle, a lot of wine, french fries, networking, blood, sweat, and tears, we're a successful digital marketing agency here in New York.
Mhm.
We saw ourselves as a little bit different. We say we're a digital experience agency because every experience is actually digital in our world. So
Yeah.
whether we're doing a large-scale pop-up event for Samsung or doing a private dinner for a tech client, to building a conference for a large trade association, to doing social media for a startup. We think every experience has a digital element to it and should be
Mhm.
infused with that.
Mhm.
And when you do that effectively, you can effectively tell great stories for brands. And so at the end of the day, our agency is about telling stories uniquely and authentically, but we do it with our own, unique spin of hustle and drive.
That is so awesome and so intriguing. I love it. Thank you for elaborating on that. Before we jump into the topic in detail, could you say something about your own story? Like, what things did you do, or what happened that one thing that really helped you move forward when you were at the beginning to inspire others?
So, oftentimes when something bad happens in your career is the impetus you need to sort of get moving and do something a little bit different out of your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, what started as working at what I thought was kind of my dream job, working for a tech startup, making good money. And unfortunately, what happens to a lot of startups, they ended up not having their funding in the way that they thought they were going to have their funding. So they immediately had to pivot and turn everybody into a salesperson. I'd never
Mm-hmm.
been a salesperson before, and it wasn't a skill I thought I had because I was
Mm-hmm.
very good at project directing, managing people, meeting deadlines, production. That was kind of my side of the universe. And being thrown into this new role of being a salesperson taught me about how to become a salesperson because I did
Nice.
not want to be someone who was smiling and dialing the phone,
Yeah.
but I thought it was much more important to sort of go out and meet people. And
Yeah.
so my goal of selling was to network as much as possible and then
Mm-hmm.
educate people on what we were selling because I know that I'm always more sold when someone tells me why this is helpful for me,
Oh
as
yeah.
opposed to just saying, go, 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 you must buy this because it's the best thing
Yes.
ever. It's much more about, let me educate you about, like, here's where we are, here's where you
Mm-hmm.
could go if you do this. And
Nice.
that was my like just by default way of selling. And as we sell our company today, it's the exact same thing. The way that we sell our products and services is that it's much more from an educational background. Like,
Nice.
here's what we know, here's what you can do,
Yeah.
and using these tools, we can help you guys grow.
Yeah.
And it was very painful and difficult at that juncture when I had to make that pivot in my career. But
Mm-hmm.
it was also the kickstart I needed. Like, I always knew I'd be an entrepreneur. I always thought that I would have my own business because I like being the boss.
I love it.
And I kind of knew that eventually, at some point in my career, I would strike it on my own. This was sort of the impetus whereby, like, I have nothing else to lose at this point. I have to kind of pull us all in, call on all my favorites, talk to as many people as I know, and see if that'll help me grow. And that sort of springboarded me so that when we were ready to start the business, I was like, you know what, let's go for it. Like I've already lost and changed so many different things over the last few years. We have nothing to lose but diving in head first without a plan. I think, I think that's probably one of the things I would highly recommend for folks is that you can't have your entire business plan dreamed out in 5 minutes once you start business. It's much more of an iterative process, but you have to be okay with being iterative. And if that's something that's scary to you or gives you that deep pain in your stomach, do not do it. Because being an entrepreneur is the most stressful, life-altering, insane, crazy thing you could ever get involved with. And if risk is not your friend, do not become an entrepreneur.
Right, because you have to challenge yourself all the time.
You have to convince yourself all the time that it's going to be okay and that it's going to be all right. And you have to kind of lie to yourself. You're going to have to do that too in order to be successful. Because you're going to have some amazing days and you're going to have some days you're like, oh my God.
Right, I agree.
Accept the two. And if you're okay with that, then you'll be all right. But if you're not okay with that, then not so much.
Yeah. If you think of it, there's never a guarantee, even if you have like a normal job, a full-time corporate job, you don't know if you're going to have it forever. They may weed you out at some point. So life's an adventure no matter.
Work for a company for 25 years and get your gold watch at the end and get your pension has quickly come out the window. And it's much more of multiple careers in your path, whether you stay in corporate world or wherever you may be. But the acceptance, being an entrepreneur really requires those skills and even more, because you'll quickly figure out early on that you're smarter than you ever thought you were, you're more resourceful than you ever thought you were, you're braver than you ever thought you are, and you're more courageous than you thought you were, because you're going to be put in situations that force those things out of you.
Yeah, I love it.
So I definitely think those are things to consider when getting from what I didn't even know I had in me. If you had told me 6 years ago that I'd be running this agency, I'd be like, maybe 15 years down the road, but not 6 years later.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing some of your story here. This is really intriguing, and I love it. Super inspiring. You guys don't give up. Don't be too scared, because I think if you have the heart beating for entrepreneurship, you should still go for it. But yeah, definitely don't be naive about it. It's a lot of hustle. Totally. Okay, let's jump to the key topic, Laura. So when we say like how women business owners who are kind of at their beginning or they're just solopreneurs, what tips would you give them if you had to boil it down to 3 tips? How can they create engagement around their brand that's kind of like manageable to them with limited resources? What would you say?
The first is love your brand like you love yourself, because no one can sell your company better than you. You have to eat, sleep, and breathe your company. So, and the thing you have to do it with, which I think is the most important, is you must do it with fire. It cannot be sort of, well, I kind of like my company, and a lot of ums and like, no, Digital Flash is a bomb-ass agency, and here's why: because we do really great work, we have great people who work for us, and we have amazing clients. That's the kind of fire you have to have, even when you're first starting out, about why you guys are awesome. Because if you don't sprout that everywhere you go, and every time you have an opportunity to talk about your company, no one else will believe you. Because when you first start, the people who are your biggest advocates are you. It was your dream, it was your idea, you felt that this is something that you wanted to do, and you put yourself into it. So you gotta say that. Whether you're on social media, whether you're at a networking event, whether you're speaking on a panel, or whether you're in the elevator, you've gotta be able to love that brand like you love yourself and really come with fire. I can't tell you how many startups we run into where folks sort of are a lot of, not sure, or want some reassurance, like, isn't this great? No, you tell me why your company's awesome. Like, let me know why your company's going to be amazing, because I'll believe that fire. And I think it's lost a lot of people in terms of we're talking about digital and social network, but people can't convey across the digital channels. It absolutely can, and it's because of the way that you speak about it. If the way that you write about the company is forceful and confident and fearless and awesome, that comes across in the way that you write about it. So that's number one with regard to that. Number two is social media is your friend, but intelligently. And you have to look at it from a content marketing standpoint, where that it helps you tell evocative stories about who your brand is. So it's not just about how great our product is, but it's the story behind it. I always use an example of, my favorite iPad case, this company called Pad and Quill. And when the iPad first came out, I was looking for a case, and I was looking at a variety of different companies like, Belkin and Casemate and all the usual suspects. And along the way in my research, I came across Pat and Quill. And Pat and Quill was this couple in Minnesota who handmade and bound these leather iPad cases. And I was floored by the story about the craftsmanship, about why they did this, how much they took a risk to make this happen, and just kind of went for it. And it wasn't about the leather case that sold me so much. It was the story behind it that really made me really intrigued about, like, wow, these guys are in Minnesota and they've got a bookbinding factory and they make the iPad cases. Like, what? This is amazing. And I think that gets lost on people. They think they have to tweet every 5 seconds because that's going to help them tell their brand. It's like much more about the stories that you tell, the surrounding areas about what you said, what you talk about. Like for us, DF, the thing that's sold our companies, my business partner Sarah and I, are fun and engaging people who like to go out and meet and make it look really possible. So our big thing was always, we'd love to have a glass of wine and french fries with you. And what we do is we Instagram. We're at this hotel lobby bar. We're at this restaurant.
Yeah, love it.
And so and it wasn't that we were trying to see that like we were people at the party, but it was about the fact that like we had a certain level, a taste level. Like we weren't going to like your local Holiday Inn. It was like the Crosby Street Hotel was our office, and that's where we would Instagram from. Or somewhere else, beautiful places that we were at, because it talked about like the level of quality.
Yeah,
anywhere in New York, but you pick to go those places. That tells something inherently about your taste level and the types of things that you're doing, and that all came through social media. And the fact that, like, when we talked about the things that we were doing, the art places we would go to, or the different kinds of gallery openings we would go to, that all helped frame a conversation about what Digital Flash was about, because what the founders were about, and the things that we were talking about, and the stories that we were able to evoke with the way that we were Instagramming and tweeting about where we were, really gave you a sense of like, oh, I want to hang out with these guys, and I want to see what else they're up to, because they're getting into this conference, they're at this really unique place, they're at this opening. That tells me they've got access. That tells me that they're on the cutting edge of this stuff.
Yeah.
That comes through when you effectively tell your stories online with social media. All people who you like and admire, and see what they're doing. Yeah. And get in those conversations. It doesn't mean like I want to at Sheryl Sandberg every 5 seconds and think she'll respond to me, but like if she says something that really resonates with you, retweet that and add your thoughts to it. And pay attention. So we're big on creating Twitter lists of people who are like-minded and folks that you admire, and following what they're up to, hear where they're going. If you can get an opportunity to hear them speak in person, go. But use those tools online to essentially help build up your thought leadership by saying, really cool conversations. Yeah. And my 3.5 is ask for help. Women do not do this. And let me explain something to you. You will get nowhere unless you ask for help. It's not a shame thing. It's a business thing. There is no shame in asking. Every 5 people that you ask and 3 people say yes, the 2 don't, doesn't matter, right? Yeah. And that's the way you have to look at it. That you're never going to get what you want unless you ask for it. And it's not a matter of being ashamed. You should know this. You don't know this. Whatever it may be. You kind of have to get out of your own way and not worry about any sort of thought process of like, oh my gosh, I think I don't know. Oh well, too bad. Like that's what they think. Good luck to them. But smart business people respect people who ask for help, and they think, and that's where you have to go. I mean, we've asked great folks we've known. We've got folks that we were the same boat as us. Like, what do you think about this? And the answers have been surprising because oftentimes they validate our assumptions. Oftentimes they give us a whole new perspective we hadn't thought about, and oftentimes they can give a solution that was right in front of you, but like you've got such tunnel vision because you're only thinking about your company that someone with a fresh perspective goes, yeah, that's the thing. Like, oh, had I taken a moment step back, I would have thought about that.
Right.
So I think I think it's really much about loving your brand, using social as your content tool, following the people that you like, and always asking and not being afraid to. Are keys to being successful.
Thank you so much. So much great content in that. Oh my gosh. You really inspired me already today. About the last point that you said about asking people, I have an inspiration too. I guess there's different levels of doing that, different comfort zones that people may have. Like it doesn't have to mean that you have to approach people and say like, help me build this business. It could be like really small things, like small question, or it could be like thinking about synergies as well and approaching people like, hey, do you want to brainstorm on this and I'll help you? We help each other. There's many ways, right? Or how you said like you have something prepared and you already have an opinion on something and you just ask others for their opinion. I think that's a really good idea as well, which is not doesn't take that much time, but it can change the world for you. Yeah, awesome.
I think that's the thing that I think as amazing as social media is, it's also taking that social media off and doing real social networking. Like our original tagline was, we put social back in social networking, because that one-to-one conversation of like, let's go have a coffee. What are you up to? And it doesn't have to be a 4-hour coffee. It can be a half an hour.
Yeah.
And if you find someone that you've been at a networking event, you want to hear what they're up to, you'll be surprised how many people have really unique things happening if you just ask them.
Yes.
And it might be, we've had some of our most amazing clients that have come to us because, one, of word of mouth, but two, because we just sat down with someone who happened to know that person, and it was like, oh, hey, what are you up to?
Yeah.
And then a few months later, I got an email. Like, this happened like 2 days ago. Last year, we had drinks with one of our clients, and she brought a friend along of hers who I'd never met before, and we all sat and, had a good chat and talked about what we were up to, and, and talked about everything else, like, shopping, traveling, whatever it may be. 2 days ago, he emailed me saying, hey, remember we met last year? And I'm like, I barely remember who he was. But I was like, oh, yeah. He's like, we have this thing, we'd love you to pitch for it. And I'm like, sure.
Nice.
But that's the thing, where it's like, that doesn't come from me just tweeting at that guy all day long.
Yeah.
That comes from the impression that we made a year ago.
Yeah.
In a one-to-one meeting where it wasn't me trying to sell him about how you have to hire us today.
Yeah.
But it's like, this is what we do, but by the way, these are all the other things we're up to. And by the way, isn't it great that we all travel? Isn't it great that you do... you've got some really, fun things that you're doing as a side hustle. Isn't that great? Like, that sort of, it's putting the humanity back into business, I think, is very important.
Yeah.
And I think it oftentimes gets lost. And, one of the things that, I was thinking about when trying to write some stuff for this interview was that, like, the thing that I think is probably by far the most important really is, taking the high road. And
what does that
right
mean
thing.
for a Swiss person? I don't know what that means. Can you translate taking the high road?
So taking the high road means always doing the right thing.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yes.
Yeah. Even if it costs you money, even if it costs you time, even if it slows you down, even if it costs you an opportunity. Because oftentimes doing that, whereby I could do this thing, but like this person could have an issue. Or I could do this thing, but it's going to cost a whole lot more money. And instead of going, you know what, I'm going to charge my client $10,000 for this. Or I look at this and say, like, the amount of money my client's charging me, it's stupid for me to charge them another $10,000. Like, why have that conversation with them when I don't have to? It's not going to break my bank to spend another $1,000 on this. Go for it. Or I'm going to go to this conference whereby I have to, like, sit here for 3 hours. Okay, well, if I stay for 3 hours, at the end, someone's going to be speaking. I'll have a much better chance of meeting that person in person. I'm going to do that. So it's very much, and your word is your bond in this business. And with everything that's out there and the amount of things that you can find in Google about people, you want to make sure that your brand is known as something that is ethically good, wholesome, and so people can count on it. Yeah. And people don't have to. Everyone doesn't have to love you, but people do have to respect you, and they'll respect you by the way that you conduct your business. And if the way you conduct your business is that, like, we do the right thing, for good or worse, we do the right thing. Yeah. Is of paramount importance, and that travels further than you know.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Great tips. Thank you so much, Lara. Let's give us a quick spotlight on you. What exciting, so we can give a little bit back to you. What exciting things are you working on these days or in the near future that we should look out for? And can we help you to get there?
Yeah, we've got a couple of really interesting private kind of awesome dinners that we're doing for some tech clients. We're working on these really amazing chefs and mixologists. So those are coming up in October. we're probably going to be down at Art Basel in Miami.
Nice.
So working with amazing artists in the Wynwood District to build something kind of awesome for a brand. Can't say who. And then, of course, South by Southwest will be building multiple things for clients.
Yeah.
Very interesting activations. You name it, we're up to it. So yeah, we're gearing up for a really fun fall and into 2016. Exciting new projects.
That sounds really awesome. Is there anything we can do to help you along the way, like promote a specific project or I don't know, something? Are you all set?
I love new clients.
Okay.
Our team is growing. We went from 2 to 6 in the last 2 years. And we love new projects that, whether they're brands or whether they're startups who are funded. Sorry, have to have partners who are funded. We have staff to pay. So we focus a lot on social media. We do a lot of really cool events and activations.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, it's really about the experience. We're deliberately agnostic in the type of verticals that we work in. So one day we have a finance client, one day we have a healthcare client, next day we have a music client, and next day we have a toy company.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, it doesn't matter. Marketing is marketing, and we know how to tell stories really effectively across multiple channels in really unique ways. So we're always looking for more fun folks to work with.
Awesome. I'll put that out there. Thank you so much, Laura. This was an amazing interview. Great insight. I really appreciate your time. So exciting. I can't wait to spread the word of this interview. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ashley. This has been so much fun.
Awesome. So you guys, I'm gonna share the links where you can find Laura Mignot online with her company Digital Flash. Check her out for sure. If you're not subscribed to my newsletter yet, jump on board today. I always have interviews and exciting tips for solopreneurs and women business owners to help you all succeed. See you there, guys. Bye bye, and bye, Laura. Thank you so much.
Thanks,